Good morning, guys. Happy Administratives Professional Day or Administrative Appreciation Day. Just a reminder, there will be lunch in Building 2 around 11:30, so we're just going to have a couple people go at a time and then come back and then let a couple people more go to grab some lunch. I'm not sure what's on the menu, but I'm sure it'll be yummy. Quickly, we have a beautiful cat here. Little joke of why do cows wear bells? Because their horns don't work. But I think the general appreciation here is the cat that is smiling and laughing at its own joke. So I have a couple things I want to go over today. The first thing that I really want to talk about is drain calls and multi-job visits. I know there's been some issues in general with sending people to drain calls and kind of figuring out how to combine service calls with drain calls. So I just kind of wanted to provide some clarity. I talked with Aaron and with Xander yesterday. So we do have about 17 technicians in our service department that have the drain skill or have that job type available to run. So we are going to be pushing drain calls and making sure that we're still booking them, that we're not limiting them to, even 10 or 15 or 20 because we have the availability to take it. And as we know, we don't have always the perfect amount of service calls that we need. So we're going to be making sure that we're funneling in the drain calls as much as possible. Now, there are going to be certain instances, clogged kitchen sinks are usually the biggest one where it usually should be someone with more drain equipment than what most of the service techs have. So ideally, we should put those on people like Eric Andrews, Levi, Joe Duncan to make sure that gets handled properly. But for all the other drain calls, let's make sure we're sending the service techs that have the skill. If they have the skill, they're going to the job. There will be some times where they can't get the line open with the machine they have and we'll need to turn it over to a person that has more drain equipment. And that is completely fine. But at least 80% of the time that we're sending out a service tech so he's able to go to those calls. When we have situations where there are two calls, where there's a service ticket and a drain ticket, as much as possible, we should be trying to combine them. If we can't combine them, send one technician first to verify what's going on. And then if we need another technician, we still have that backup visit. For the most part, this is something we've already been doing, but I think maybe because we've gotten a little bit slower or whatever the case may be, that there's been some times where two technicians have showed up at the exact same time. And that's just not the best. It's just not best for the customer. It's very confusing for them. They're trying to pay attention to one person, trying to pay attention to the other person. The technicians get a little frustrated too because they don't have enough time to speak with the customer. They may be in each other's way. So as much as possible, we need to be sending one technician out first to verify everything and then send another technician out if it's absolutely needed. Again, if you're having issues or if a manager is telling you don't send this person to a drain call or don't do this, please send me an email so I'm able to know and remedy it because this is something that we've been told to follow and management should be following it as well. And we want to be able to know if there are some outliers or certain situations that just aren't working properly so we can try to get it fixed. I am working on also fixing the toilet auger problem. Every service tech should be able to auger a toilet, so we're trying to make sure we go through the list and get that resolved. And the same thing with the flushing tankless issue. Every technician that goes through EcoU should be able to flush a tankless, so we shouldn't have to be trying to find specific people to do the maintenance calls. So we're going to be working on ironing that out, so I'll give you more updates as I have them. But again, if anybody tells you anything differently, please just send me an email so I'm able to help. Next thing up is the color priority board. So we've been working on this for a few months now of trying to automate the color priority board. What I mean by that is that basically we're not going to have to set up, we won't have to change the colors ourselves daily for future days. We're going to be basically putting in a formula that says how many calls that we're able to take and then from there, the color board will automatically change. We are going to start to test this out starting on Thursday, tomorrow. And we're just going to have to watch it and see if there's any issues with it. I have been watching it for a few weeks, trying to compare it to, our color priority board. And it has been working fairly well. So I want you guys to make sure you're watching it, make sure we're testing it out. But I will show you the view here of what it's going to look like. It'll load here. So it's going to look very similar to our current color priority board. The same day, when we come in same day, this will all be able to be changed manually. This is not going to be automated for same day. So that way, if we need to push for different calls or we need to drop the call count, anything like that, we're able to change it as we want throughout the day. All of these cells are not going to be able to be touched anymore because, like I mentioned, these are all going to be automated. There is basically a switchboard here where we input the amount of technicians and the amount of calls we're trying to push for. This isn't going to be something that we're daily changing where we're down one technician, so we drop the call count. We know we already don't operate that way. We try to always overbook by at least 10%, so that way with cancellations and rescheduling, we're able to pick the best calls for the best technicians. This is something for right now. I'm going to teach Olivia how to use, and then probably one more person, just so we have multiple people that if we do need to change it for any reason, we are able to change it. So just give me some time on that, but we'll be able to coach a few people to be able to change things on here if it's needed. In the meantime, right now, if you are looking at a certain day and you're looking at a certain day, let's say on Monday, and the board says that we can take anything in the morning and you see that we're completely booked up in the morning, please just send me and Olivia an email and just state, hey, this day looks off. I think we need to change it. So then I can look it over and be able to say, okay, yes, we do need to change it. And then I'm also able to make notes on things that we need to change in the board itself. I think this will give a lot of freedom to a lot of people to not have to be worried if they don't check the call board for a couple hours that something can get completely overbooked. In these sections is where we're going to be putting in notes for any day. So if you have a day, typically on service where we're like no gas calls or still anything T3, you just go in here and you're able to type it. So I think it's going to work pretty well. I think it's going to help a lot, especially over the weekend. I think that's a big struggle coming in on Mondays a lot of the time. So just test it out. Again, we're going to roll it out on Thursday. So just anytime there's something that looks off or you think something needs to be changed, please just send me and Olivia an email so we can look into it immediately. Final thing I wanted to go over is financing tags and pre-sold work. I know Olivia sent out an email. We have seen quite a few jobs that don't have the sold hours, don't have the job stretched out, don't have a pre-sold work tag, and we need to have all of that information. The first part is the job must be stretched out for the amount of hours that it was sold for. If it's less than 2 hours, you can leave it at the 2-hour mark. But if it's a 4-hour job, the time needs to be stretched out for 4 hours and so forth. This is very important. It's important for smart dispatch. It's important for capacity planning. Eventually, we don't use it 100% right now, but eventually tying in calls, when they get booked online, they'll be able to read our ServiceTitan board and be able to know our available capacity. If we're not stretching those jobs out, we're showing that we have more available room for calls than we actually do. It helps with our planning. There's been so many times, I think it's happened to all of you guys, it's happened to me so many times where you see a job and then you plan the day and then you realize that job is actually 10 hours and that's their entire day. And then you have to kind of change everything around, which can get frustrating. So we need to put the sold hours on the job and we need to have the pre-sold work tag. There are a lot of reports that pull from it that give us a lot of information. And also that's how the evening crew emails all of these jobs to all of the technicians, so they're able to know what jobs they have for the next day so they can prepare. And the other thing is financing tags. I did get word from finance that we're missing a lot of financing tags. So we're noting it in the job, but then we're not going and adding the tag. So if it's green sky, we need to be adding a green sky tag. If it's synchrony, we just add the blue financing tag. And if it's turns, we add the secondary financing tag, which I'll actually type in here with a little picture of each tag so you guys have it for record. But that way that we're properly noting the jobs and making sure that, finance knows exactly how it's going to be paid. And yeah, that's about it. So hopefully you enjoyed the kitty cat picture. And let me know if you guys have any questions on this. And please send pictures to Brian's email because I think it's super fun. I saw Alyssa already did a summary findings, which is hilarious. So I'm going to definitely take some pictures tonight and try to join in on the fun. I hope you guys have an awesome day.